Hi, good morning. My name is Father Rayappa. Today I'm going to talk about a, a wise man called Job. Actually, his life history is recorded in the book of Job found in the Hebrew Bible. Actually, he was the first dissident one who questioned everything. He questioned even God. He questioned about creation. He questioned about the nature of things. For example, why did he create sun in the sky? Why don't you create sun and put it in the sea, probably on the surface of the sea? Why mountains are like this, like a pyramidal shape? Why don't you turn around the mountain and stick it in the opposite direction? So such kind of questions. He argued with God, the Creator. So he was the first dissident. I like it because me too. I also feel the dissident nature in me. I think every human person needs to question about everything because we have a free will and we have got authority and we can decide what is right and wrong, and we need to question things. So I'm going to talk about book of Job. The book of Job is one of the writings of the Hebrew Bible and the first poetic book in the Christian Old Testament, addressing the theme of God's justice in the face of human suffering. Or more simply, why do the righteous suffer? I mean, bad people suffering, no problem, because God will punish them anyway. It is the rich theological work setting out a variety of perspectives, this book. And the main question is, I am a righteous man, why God punishes me? It has been widely and often extravagantly praised for its literary qualities, this book. Historians like Alfred Lord Tennyson calling it the greatest poem of ancient and modern times. Job is an investigation of the problem of divine justice. This problem, known in theology as theodicy, can be rephrased as a question: why do the righteous suffer? The conventional answer in ancient Israel was that God rewards virtue and punishes the sinful. It is known as the principle as retributive justice. This assumes a world in which human choices and actions are morally significant, but experience demonstrates that suffering cannot be sensibly understood as a consequence of bad choices and actions. And unmerited suffering requires theological investigation. Our suffering comes from our finitude and vulnerability to the affliction of nature. Human beings should live according to nature, in harmony with the whole world. When we do that, we place the right value on things. We seek the things that are truly good, such as wisdom and virtue, and not the things presumed to be good, such as money and property. We achieve a proper disposition by contemplating the truths or things and knowing the nature of existence. We then realize that the goods and evils in this world are paltry compared to death. Being mindful of death gives us the right perspective and the proper attitude towards happiness and suffering. Job gains wisdom in the end. He understands the nature of the cosmos and realizes what is truly good and that death is not an evil. We consider our own death as an evil, since death is non being, as are illness, poverty, and ignorance. When we view the universe from the human perspective, we see it as evil and threatening, as governed by chance. Human beings are not the purpose of creation, however. We realize this when we consider the immensity of the cosmos in contrast with our own insignificance. The earth is an infinitesimally minute part of the universe. So, what is the proportion of a human being to all of creation? How then can we imagine that all existing things are because of us and for our benefit? Human love and fear of God arise from contemplating His wondrous works and infinite wisdom. We are frightened when we realize that we are tiny, lowly, obscure creatures having slight intelligence. Job's previous understanding characterized God as a God of righteousness. One who had recognized Job's integrity apparently had rewarded him for that. Job's new understanding conceived of a mysterious power that brought forth the world as a man begets or as a woman gives birth, a God who is somehow revealed in and through that wondrous world. This is a God who can provide for the entire resplendent universe without being distracted from the specific needs of fragile human beings. God can do this because God's design or grander yet still includes human history. The book of Job demonstrates the profound human struggle between anthropology and cosmology, between human centered interest and cosmocentric realities. It pits the search for understanding against the enormity of the universe in such a way that the human spirit is enraptured and not broken. The commonplace yet strangely unfamiliar natural world awakens amazement at its wonders, leaves the humble gazer aghast. Having called on God to put things right in his particular life, Job was led by the magnitude of creation beyond himself, there to see that he could not fathom the laws by which God governs. In the end, cosmology does not defeat anthropology. Rather, cosmology opens its arms to welcome back anthropology, its prodigal son. The shift from anthropocentric to a cosmocentric worldview requires not only a new way of understanding the universe itself, but also a re-examination of many, if not most, of the tenets of faith and the moral life. Notions such as frugality and sufficiency in our use of natural resources, the viability of human life and the earth's ability to sustain it will all play indispensable role in theological thinking. Knowing the nature of existence is to be aware of the universe and the place of human beings in it. Wisdom is the capacity to see the cosmos as it is in the light of reason and the manner of being compatible with this vision. The irresponsibility and impertinence of human self-centeredness will be replaced by a sense of respect and responsible stewardship, and the bottom line of monetary calculation of resources will give way to aesthetic contemplation of natural beauty, a contemplation not unlike that of Job, who cried out in awe. Chapter 42, verse 5, I heard of you by word of my mouth, but now my eyes have seen you. As we grow in sensitivity to ecological issues, we might detect in the biblical writings what appears to us to be a disregard of the intrinsic value of the created world. We must never forget that we are able to recognize these attitudes because we have gained insight shaped by scientific inquiry, with ways that tend to compartmentalize reality. Unfortunately, anthropocentrism dominates the religions and politics. According to this view, humankind is not only the culmination of creation, but also its goal. Christian tradition strongly validates and supports this anthropocentric viewpoint in its understanding of the human being as the apex and goal of creation. On the other hand, might an anthropocentric point of view have been imposed by the biblical reader rather than implied by the biblical author? To love the earth is a sacred responsibility, but this idea has been lost. It's not just Catholicism that has lost its awareness of the importance of creation. This has been part of the broad erosion across religions, at least in the West. Human beings are dangerously warming planet is overwhelming. Polar bear has in many ways become the face of climate change. The central question is not whether one believes in global warming. The central question is whether one believes in science and the scientific method. We are already going to experience big impacts from global warming. If we delay much longer, we run the risk of truly catastrophic impacts. The final message of Job is that after all is said and done, we really do not understand very much. And the most appropriate response to this world is one of humility. Job's friends thought that they had all the answers, but the finale is the God speech that says, chapter 38 in book of Job, verse 37, who is wise enough to give an account of the heavens? It may not give us all the answers, but it helps us to reconcile ourselves to our limitations, to get a sense of the very miraculousness of any existence at all, the grandeur of existence, to get on with making the most of our lives. When the Lord replied to Job out of the tempest, Job realized his error and understood that we cannot get beyond knowing natural things, the elements, the natures of various species of animals, and meteorological phenomena, but little else. So, book of Job, it's a conflict between human understanding and God's wisdom. So God's wisdom is mysterious, and we have limitation in our brain, in our neurons, in our understanding, in our engagement. We have got limitations. So probably as we progress in evolution, in human evolution, probably we will understand much better. But today we need to understand creation, the underpinnings of the whole natural world. So then we understand God as the all author of life, and He is the creator. And we will accept humility as our important virtue. We may not understand everything because of God's design. So we are simply creatures. So we depend on God's enlightenment and God's love and God's providence. Thank you. Bye.